At Five Star Bank, community is at the heart of what we do. Every day we strive to have thoughtful solutions for our customers and help our communities prosper. Honest dialogue about the issues affecting the region is vitally important to that prosperity. We are proud to be part of the conversation and hope you'll join in.
Quick, what theater do more children in this region see than any other? It's the B Street Theater. B Street has been entertaining Sacramento children and their parents since 1986. The brainchild of brothers Buck and Tim Busfield has become a Sacramento institution, and some major milestones are ahead, including the construction of a brand new theater with new offerings for patrons, very, very high architectural aspirations, and a partnership with Sutter Health in its conception. Joining us today are B Street co-founder Buck Busfield, managing director Bill Blake, and local architect Ron Vrilakas to discuss one of Sacramento's most unusual arts institutions. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So Buck, what is this new project?
Well, the project's actually, in a simple explanation, it's a new theater, but it's really more about a very original, rare dream coming true in the region, which would be a large professional theater for kids. You know, with our grown-up acting company performing for kids at Broadway level size, scope, and scale of a production. So there's nothing like this around.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Not just in Sacramento, but across the
nationally.
country.
No, there are only half a dozen nationally in Charlotte, Minneapolis, and Seattle, where a community has decided that it matters that the kids get first-rate professional theater on a regular basis in a brand new facility.
And Bill, how did all this come together?
Well, it's an amazing story, really, about Buck and Tim starting this program that takes theater out into the schools, and we still do that. And then a few years later, moving into a converted warehouse to start producing. And I don't think you guys thought that the theater would stay there for all that long, but there we are. And the need for a new facility, I think, has been out there for a long time. And when Sutter started talking about expanding into Midtown and consolidating their campuses, that led them to a conversation about how do we keep this project connected to the neighborhood and urban development, and how can we use the arts to do that? And they quickly found B Street and incorporated us into their master plan for all those properties.
It doesn't necessarily seem intuitive that big hospital and a theater.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Where's the connection?
Yeah, it's not. And I think the first connection was just on developing Midtown and how do we do that? And we should do more. Sutter's thought was we should do more than just be a medical campus that just feels like an urban medical campus, but how do we really blend it into the neighborhood? What's happened has really been pretty awesome. I think it's really going to be an incredible opportunity to connect what we do with kids and families to kids and families that are in the hospital. And to have all this programmatic linkage, which we already do. We already take theater programs into the pediatric wing now.
Really?
Yeah, we do. A few times a year we'll go in there. We'll be able to enhance that program, take in playwriting workshops and improv acting workshops, things you could do at a bedside with a child. And then there's the whole thing where kids are in the hospital for an extended period of time. There's all that program we can bring into the hospital, but what about the siblings and the families and people who are attached to that patient? What do? Well, they can come over to the theater and see a show, take a tour, take workshops, and we can have we'll have a whole new program that's really about theater and healing working together. And that, as unique as just a professional children's theater is in our country, that aspect of theater and healing being connected is very, very unique in the country. And Sutter's commitment to the project and is really unprecedented, and what we're going to create together is going to be totally, totally unique, and not just California, but really throughout the country.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm curious though, Ron, projects like this, okay, I sat on Sutter's board, and projects of this scale and enormity, I'm talking about the entire hospital project and then a theater attached to it, sometimes aren't warmly received by neighborhoods and residents. What's special about this project in terms of how it integrates and builds on what's unique in Midtown Sacramento.
Well, certainly the hospital has an enormous impact on Midtown and the community of Sacramento, and I think they went about developing the hospital in a very thoughtful manner in terms of reaching back to the community around it and seeing if there weren't ways that they could be a good neighbor and integrate well into an established neighborhood that was getting stronger and stronger. They've done so with housing, and they've done so with architectural design, but they've really done so, I think, in the most meaningful way with the theater that's about to get underway, because that really is a regional cultural amenity that will have an enormous impact not only on the hospital corridor and not only on Midtown, but on really the city at large and the counties that surround Sacramento.
What were you trying to achieve in the design? I mean, what was kind of the thought process in how this design, one, takes care of its functional needs, but also integrates into this neighborhood?
It's a very complicated process, to be honest, and there isn't a straight, simple way to answer it.
That's okay. We like complexity on this show.
We've thrown a few curveballs at him too. So
it's really the convergence of a lot of different ideas and a lot of different desires, sort of being then exhibited in one building design. So it's a challenge. I think they came to my office and me in particular because of my long commitment to the Central City and to the Midtown neighborhood in general. And for 20 years I've lived and worked in the neighborhood, so I know it pretty well. You name an intersection, I can visualize it in my mind. I'm not going anywhere. My office is on Capitol Avenue, and the theater will be on Capitol Avenue. So it's a neighbor to me, both in terms of home and work.
Well, and I'll just jump in and say, Scott, it became increasingly important to us around, as the recession started settling in and all of that stuff, to really bring this project home and really get a local team put together. Or to, one, because it seemed like the right thing to do. We're a local community project. We should really be working with local architects and builders and contractors as much as possible. And and Ron's knowledge of Midtown. I mean, we looked around and pretty quickly got to him as a candidate. He has
a holistic vision of Midtown, whereas one architect, one highly talented architect, might come in and just say, "Here's a gorgeous building," but he sees all of Midtown, as one landscape and how to integrate it in there. So
well, that's the thing that's remarkable, in that when I looked at the drawings for the project, what struck me was how, one, it was strikingly and singularly beautiful, but also how it sort of just flowed into the rest of that street. And I walk those streets myself, to the restaurant Bernardo that's close by and some of the other amenities in the area, but that it just flowed and seemed to seamlessly integrate while still maintaining its own character.
Well, and I have to say, it's a remarkable opportunity to design something like this in one's own community. So we embraced it wholeheartedly and took great care in terms of what the form would ultimately become. And it, in my mind, it really evolved and grew out of the work we did with the B Street team and also with our understanding of the Central City and the neighborhoods surrounding the B Street site. So
what does this project relate to? Does it relate to any bigger movement with regards to the evolution of Sacramento and its downtown? I'm just curious, from both an architectural as well as an artistic standpoint. Is this sort of a piece of a broader set of changes?
I don't know in terms of a master plan for the Central City and that part of Midtown. I know that they've been commissioned before, but we all know what's happened in Midtown in the last 10 years. It's just become restaurant rich. It's a place people go. It's a destination. And this is just the next logical step, next logical addition, are places where you can go see not just quality entertainment, but bring your kids in the evening in a nice, safe part of a town that feels good, looks good, and has great amenities. So it just is the next logical step.
I don't think that people necessarily know how many children and families that B Street serves?
Yeah,
Can you kind of give us a
yeah,
little
this
bit
is
of
actually,
background?
it's one of our challenges. Bill and I struggle with this all the time because everyone knows about B Street Theater because we get reviewed in the paper and we do these edgy comedies for adults, etc. But really we serve many, many, many times more kids through outreach in schools and, as Bill mentioned, in hospitals and public places, and also the field trips that come to us, our summer camps and our teen classes and all this. So, you know, it's got to be 250,000 kids a year. Is that right, Bill? Something like that.
250,000?
It gets up there.
Yeah, it's pretty, and on a statewide level, we're ranked, I think, second or third in the state of all these other organizations. And this is in these two little Butler steel buildings by the tracks, you know. So what you have is in a very humble location, really something that has very wide bandwidth.
How do you guys do that when, you know, the cutbacks ever since, I mean, going all the way back to the 70s in arts education and programming and the struggles of other arts organizations, how do you serve that many kids?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of, well, of course, extremely hard work,
Yeah,
right,
right, I
with a
was just
small
gonna say,
staff.
it's just a lot of work,
We have
You mean it doesn't all just float together?
No, it doesn't. You know, we have to, you know, with all those, every one of those kids, there's a phone call that needs to be made and a booking that needs to be made and the transportation, all that stuff. But there's a real strong commitment to it. But a lot of it is that the theater has grown over 25 years in phases. So we just didn't open with 6 different performance programs. We do 40 performances a week.
Really?
40 performances a week.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
We're adding more.
No one in the country does that, by the way.
reason.
Nobody in the country does 43 performances a week. But fortunately, we kind of took our time and added one program. We're going to add the kids' summer camp. We're going to add the field trip. So the way it happened was that with each addition, some infrastructure came with it too.
And you know what it is, Scott? The way I think of it, it's I pull back every now and then and kind of look at the whole picture of B Street. There's an incredible amount of creative output. I mean, we're serving thousands and thousands of people, and you know, all these kids too. But what it feels like inside the building where we work is just total creative output all the time. I mean, Buck is writing plays, directing plays, casting, doing all that creative work with a great core company of people that can also write and direct, and we're just always just pushing that creativity out into the community. We're downtown now at 10th and K. We're about to go statewide with a school tour program,
Really?
dealing with mental health issues, actually, that will go from the top, you know, from Modoc County up in the northeast corner all the way down to Imperial in San Diego. 100 performances for about 30,000 more kids that will happen this fall that we do. So these opportunities come at us as well, and we take advantage of them and try to use them to build up the company. But when it comes down to it, it's really about more mission going out the door, more creative output happening from this community, the way we can learn to export it a little bit, like a statewide tour.
Well, but coming in the door, you guys have been raising money for this theater now for how many years?
For the new project?
Yeah, for the new project.
Actually, we didn't really. Well, I think it was 2006 is when we got our first
Right.
dollars.
Yeah.
We talked. There was a long time of talking about it.
Right, but you all have made really substantial progress
Yeah.
on getting towards your goal.
Yeah.
How are you making that happen while we're still trying to climb out of the worst recession that we've seen since '29?
Yeah, I don't know. I think people believe enough.
Brass
in it that-
knuckles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of work. Part of it is we just won't go away. We're just not going to give up on it because it's the future of our organization.
Sure.
And it's the future of Sacramento. There's not going to be a project like this in our city, and for miles and miles around. We have to. I mean, you can't do what we do without totally believing in it and making it happen. But a lot of people have stepped up at the right time and made gifts large and small to get it done, and now we're really starting to feel a lot more momentum as we're kind of coming in the home stretch here.
You know, but we did notice, as I'm sure you did, that we were feeling really confident. But then when that hit,
Yeah.
there was a period of about 6 months to a year
Yeah.
where Bill and I spent some very quiet, reflective times thinking, what's the way forward? And then something happened in the air 2 years ago, and people started giving again. I think what it was, really, to answer your question specifically, I think people just decided, I got to get on with my life.
Right,
I can't just hang on to my money forever. And those people who love Sacramento, who love kids, and who love the arts, finally said, you know what, I can't just stop. I got to go forward, and I want to help the community. So we started receiving
Well, you
gifts
know,
again.
moving forward, you know, the whole concept of that we've got to get on with our lives. Ron, you know, some people would say buildings are just, buildings. They're just bricks, mortar, whatever. But, projects like this, what do they mean to a spirit of a city?
Well, first of all, I would agree with that sentiment that buildings are just bricks and mortar,
Okay,
and they're temporal.
Mhm.
I mean, not a single building, no matter how hard we architects try, will be around, and really in that far distant future. So they're temporal. What's important
This is a Greek talking, by the way, where the Parthenon and these guys are still around,
Yeah, I didn't have much to do with the
Oh,
Parthenon, as it turns out. So
Probably would have had a restaurant in it or something.
Of course it
like
would.
that.
And
one of the things that we did with the B Street to start the design process was sort of put our pencils down,
Sure.
or our keyboards aside, as it is today,
Uh-huh.
and get to know, and what we came to talk about is get to know the DNA of the B Street. What is it that makes it click? Besides the freight trains that go by in every performance, what is it that makes what you've heard these gentlemen describe happen? The ambition, the creativity, the uniqueness, the fact that something there, Sacramento, really can celebrate if it's brought into the light of day. Right now, it's relegated to the edges. People don't know it's there unless you have the fine opportunity of going. My daughter in second grade has gone every year for 3 years with her class, and it's just been terrific for her. But I would like her and other kids to have the experience of not only something phenomenal that goes on within the theater walls, but also in the process of experiencing going to the theater and what that means to a little forming mind, and how that might shape their sense of creativity in the arts and theater in general going forward. So it really was about getting into the DNA of the B Street and trying to translate that through the lens of what is Midtown. And then further, it naturally takes you into questions about what is special about Sacramento, because this will be an institution in Sacramento, and it will be something I think future generations will always look back on and remember when I went to the B Street. And
Right.
So we were cognizant of that, and we tried very hard to make it something unique to our place, not something that landed in Sacramento, but actually grew out of Sacramento.
Right. And Buck, listening to Ron's words and thinking about, what the experience is for a child going to institutions like the B Street, what does it mean in terms of, the formation of young minds to have the types of experiences that B Street puts on in terms of their own development?
Yeah, actually, this is a subject of exhaustive studies nationally from foundations and sciences and all this. And there's a huge body of evidence that kids that are exposed to performing and creative arts at a younger age develop new neural pathways. They're become better at not just academics, but they have a higher ratio of being engaged adult citizens in their community as they grow up. It's a mystery. We believe it. We've always believed that. We've known that.
course, yeah.
But we have science now backing it up, so we know that scientifically there's that there. And I got to say that one of the most gratifying experiences for us is when we have a subscriber at the B Street Theater, that's for grown-ups only, say to us, "Oh, I watched your school tour when I was here in Elk Grove, and you came to Elk
Really?
Grove Elementary 25 years ago,"
Yeah.
or whatever you did. So what we also see is a sense of continuity, a cultural continuity, which is really gratifying.
Which is cool. And the other thing some of the studies that Buck's talking about tell us too is that increasingly in our economy today, people have to be able to express themselves creatively and work collaboratively and be able to approach a project or a task with some amount of creativity and outside thinking. And theater, we believe and we see it teaches kids to do that like nothing else. And we can get kids participating in theater, but even just the state of watching it forces you to use your imagination, particularly in our space where it's not a lot of special effects. You've got to imagine, you have to work a little bit as an audience member.
Right.
And to put a kid in that environment where they're comfortable, they don't necessarily have to sit still and wear a tie, and they can kind of be themselves, but they can get engaged up close with what we're putting on the stage, can really get them going on a path of learning how to express creatively what they're thinking or feeling later. And we could probably do more study on that, but that's kind of for the academics of the world
and
to
when
do.
you all go into schools,
Mm-hmm.
Is it all performance or is it interactive? Are you teaching kids stuff?
It's a little both. It's a lot of performance, but we also have a huge playwriting component. We go into schools and do playwriting workshops. We give study guides to teachers to get kids to write plays that we then turn around and produce. And that is really the purest creative form of theater, is in the writing of that script.
Really?
Coming up with the idea, fleshing out characters, and seeing what happens. In fact, the show that we have out on the road right now into schools is all student-written material.
Really?
We get a couple of hundred submissions a year. It's a really awesome program, actually. It's one of the great things about B Street that we don't sing enough about.
Where did the concept,
That's my brother's concept totally. And when he came to Sacramento, we arrived here from different places. I just come from the Children's Theater Company in Minneapolis, and he came from Hollywood. And he had a very clear idea that he wanted kids writing plays. And we started it right away. And you can get from 100 to 500 plays per year from kids who participate. They submit the play, they come into rehearsal with an adult director and grown-up actors, and we perform their piece. And to watch this kid, watch a young second, fourth grader say, did you like what we did with your play? And the first rehearsal they'll say, oh, it was fine, thank you. And then by the third rehearsal they're saying, yeah, I didn't like it. You know, tell that guy to move faster, why'd you cast him? Have their agent call me, whatever. You know, they become empowered. They own their work and become empowered. And it's remarkable to watch a little kid become an artist and a businessman.
Yeah. Wow.
I know.
And probably a little bit of a hard charger in terms of the people that they're working with.
Well, no, it's, you know, this is the truth of it. You can't say no to them. Because for a number of reasons, practical reasons, artistic reasons, but you just can't say, hey, kid, you won this playwriting contest out of 500 entries, and you're going to come in and you make your suggestion. We go, no, have your mom talk to me. It doesn't work like that.
No. So, Ron, give us a little bit of background on this new space itself. How many seats? What's it look like? Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, and I'll just start with saying one of the things it's going to do remarkably well and improved over the current facility is expand what it can do for children's engagement in the theater. The B Street runs a lot of acting programs for kids, and not everybody realizes that, but they're pretty phenomenal. And we will have much expanded facilities in the new B Street to support that. But again, back to the notion of the B Street's DNA, we made a concerted effort not to have the theater feel imposing or like it's something, as Bill said, you have to wear a tie or maybe you have to be knowledgeable about the theater to step through its doors. We trended more toward what would be any good creative arts facility that happens to be a theater. I think one of the local precedents in some way that I like to reference is the Tower Theater, Tower Cafe, which, while not the same thing we're doing, it has become for Land Park an important landmark, and I believe this theater will for Midtown do the same one day. So we introduced mixed uses within the theater so that it wouldn't be closed during evenings and when there wasn't something going on, or in the morning. The idea that it would be a true mixed 18-hour day, 7 days a week live experience to go to either the cafe.
And by mixed use, so it's got a cafe.
It has a cafe, it has the two theaters which will do different things at different times of day. The Children's Theater is 365, I think is about where we are. That'll have multiple performances every day. Children will arrive by bus. We have created a plaza on the corner for the kids to gather, eat their lunch before they go in some of the time, but a safe spot for kids to be before they go into the lobby and experience the theater. And then the smaller theater, about 260 seats, will be the B Street's home. But also other things will go on in these theaters besides the Children's Theater and the B Street. So there will be lots of activity all of the time. And then the cafe becomes our third venue, which straddles the plaza. And you might, like the Tower Cafe, go for a meal or a drink and be around the theater and happen to notice what's playing or coming up.
So this isn't just like a little snack shack. This is really a cafe with...
It's really a restaurant, It's
really a restaurant.
The future of the restaurant evolution is still to be learned, but
Sure.
it's a full-size sit-down restaurant with outdoor dining in the plaza and patio surrounding the theater. So it'll be a very interactive Midtown scene there. And that, again, dovetails with the current things in the Sutter District that are already quite active. Trinity Cathedral is on the west side of the theater, so we like to see people coming out of the church service and coming over to the B Street and having breakfast.
And, you know, and this is one of these things, we've used this term community gathering place when we've tried to explain it to Ron, and he's really defined it well, because it's something that we can't really do at our current digs.
Right.
You can't, you know, nobody stays after the show where we are now. Everybody gets in their car and goes home or goes somewhere else, and they don't meet up. And so we're missing that whole social interactive piece where audiences can come out of actually two different theaters and meet together around a dessert or a drink or whatever in an area and talk about what happened, socialize, but just have that opportunity to mix with the artists and people who've made what they just saw as well.
I think what Bill is describing is what makes for a good city, and a good city has things like this that are right in the heart of the action, and the B Street will become that. Right now, we are one of the greatest things that we have to offer children in our community is hardly even on the radar. So this brings it from over by the tracks to right in the heart and center of Sacramento.
And Buck, in our final few seconds, tell us what's in store coming up prior to the theater getting started that we should be looking for from B Street.
From B Street, well, it's just, we are everywhere, and we have so many different artistic programs. We want, whether you're a kid, whether you're a senior citizen, whoever you are, we have something for you. We have it now.
And we're going to leave it there.
Yep.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much.
Thank you.
Well, that's our show. Thanks to our guests from the B Street Theater, and thanks to you for watching Studio Sacramento. I'm Scott Syphax. See you next time right here on KVIE.
At Five Star Bank, community is at the heart of what we do. Every day we strive to have thoughtful solutions for our customers and help our communities prosper. Honest dialogue about the issues affecting the region is vitally important to that prosperity. We are proud to be part of the conversation and hope you'll join in.
All episodes of Studio Sacramento, along with other KVIE programs, are available to watch online at kvie.org/video.